All right, welcome to another episode of the Bear Archery Podcast. I'm with Darrell Gogert and Durk Stark from Velvet Antler Technologies. Here's what I appreciate about guys. I appreciate guys that don't just look at the industry and think, how can I make money? They look at the industry and they think, how can I improve it? And let's be honest here. I don't work with Velvet Antler Technologies at all, but I met these guys through Pope and Young, heard about all their products, and I am a firm believer in several of their products. So don't just hear Velvet Antler Technologies and think, well, I don't shoot velvet deer. I have no use for these. There is so many products that these guys come up with that you can use, from doing your own European mounts to packing out your animals to hanging your trophies on the wall to taking care of your trophies that are on the wall. These guys are phenomenal. So stay tuned right here to hear all of the things that Velvet Antler Technologies got going on, and maybe even hear some things about the trophies hanging on your wall that you would have never guessed. There's bugs hiding in your taxidermy, and that's a fact. It's something that's scary to think about, but these guys got the answer for you. As always, this episode is brought to you by ScentLock. Guys, we've all had bloody pants. Some of my favorite Phantom pants have gotten covered in blood, and I thought, well, I can never wear these again because these stains aren't going to come out. Lucky for me, Velvet Antler Technology makes some blood remover, and it removes the blood from my pants so my ScentLock can stay looking good, stay performing good. Guys, stay tuned right here to hear about Velvet Antler Technologies and all the ways they can help you as a hunter and as a trophy owner.
With over 90 years of innovation, Bear Archery continues pushing toward the goal of founder Fred Bear, making archery accessible for all. Fred believed the history of the bow and arrow were the history of mankind, and everyone should immerse themselves in the outdoor experience. Welcome to the Bear Archery Podcast, where the mission is simple: to hunt, grow, and inspire others.
Guys, if you have been around archery much at all, then you've probably heard the name Lancaster. And for good reason. Lancaster Archery is well known worldwide, and they have an incredible reputation worldwide. Why? Because they're archery experts on all things archery, from bow hunting to 3D shooting, from recurves to compounds. If it's archery, they not only sell the products, but they know the products. Guys, Lancaster is your one-stop shop for all things bear archery, every compound, recurve, all the equipment. But outside of bear, they have everything you need, from arrows and broadheads to bow building equipment, everything. Guys, Lancaster Archery is a name that you can absolutely trust. They put out some of the best information that you can find just about anywhere. So I would highly encourage you to not only shop at lancasterarchery.com, because you can trust in the products you're buying, because they know about the products that you're buying, but also I would highly encourage you to check out all of their resources, not only on their website, but on their YouTube channel, because they are a wealth of knowledge on all things archery. So guys, check out Lancaster Archery. They're your one-stop shop, not only for all of the equipment that you could ever possibly need that's archery related, but also all of the information that you would ever need that is archery related. LancasterArchery.com. Go check them out. All right, gentlemen, before we dive into this thing, both of you have already killed stuff this year. So lucky you, I guess. Some of us aren't that good. Darrell's off to a heck of a start.
Darrell's lucky.
Yeah. Well,
Darrell
it's
makes
better
his
to be
own
lucky
luck.
sometimes, I guess, is what they say, right?
Right, exactly.
I wish he'd send some of that luck my way.
Some of us have to work and help our clients get out and kill things before we get to.
It's your job to work hard enough to where he can go hunt. That's your job.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, Darrell, where all have you been so far already?
Oh, just only to Maryland and here in Idaho. That's all. Just the two.
Just the two. Now, have you only punched a tag in Maryland, or have you already punched a tag in Idaho?
I punched tag in Idaho too for antelope.
Yep. Oh, that's right. I did see that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now the Maryland buck, dude, that was a banger, an absolute banger of a deer.
You want to see it?
Oh, do you have it to show it?
He just has to rub it in too. Just has
Yeah.
to rub it in.
He's got to make us feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah,
It's too.
but do you see the ear tag on it, Dylan?
That's a taxidermy. That's a taxidermy tag.
It's too wide to fit in your little camera. You'll have to back up like a mile and a half so we can see it. No, that's a good deer, man. Great deer. What about Maryland? Like, and obviously we know why you go there now, but what originally drew you to Maryland? That's not like a destination whitetail state, I wouldn't think.
No, but it is a sleeper state. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend that lives there that I grew up with since 1977. I've known him. So, yep. And he lives there just south of Baltimore a little ways, and he sets up tree stands and helps me out. And I send him money for corn, and he piles up corn, and we go hunt.
Yeah. Well, it works, I guess. So, but there are those kind of states, and I always am interested to see, you hear of people, they go to a state to hunt every year and people are like, but why? And then it's just like, well, here's why. And you hold up a stinking stud that you kill and they're like, okay, now I see it. How long have you been going to Maryland?
Oh, this will be my 4th year. So,
very cool.
I've done all right. I'm going to pick up my camera here.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the wall of Maryland over there.
See, you're one of those jerks, like you're one of those guys that people don't actually like because they always feel, every time you send me a picture, I'm like, great, another one. Like he got another one. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm always happy for you, man. And you definitely show the reason why you go to Maryland. So Durk, what you've been busy out there on Hell's Canyon, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. This last week, it kind of kicked our butt when it was 101 degrees there and everything shut down during the daytime. But nighttime came on, and then the day we left, it went from 101 to 55 degrees as a high. And so I'm heading back out in a week and a half here with hunters coming in from Wisconsin and Minnesota and Missouri. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, but it's been fun. The whitetails have actually, we're way west there. You'd think that it would be more mule deer, but where we're at, the whitetails are really coming into the ranch right now, as well as now as the weather comes in, the mule deer start coming in tighter on us as well. So, so that's good. The antelope numbers are obviously down in South Dakota some, but you were seeing some great deer. Even Darrell could be able to shoot some of these great deer.
Wow.
I don't know that I need to shoot any more big deer.
Yeah.
Have you seen what's behind me?
Yeah, I know exactly. Rub it in. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I'm out there and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to it and getting out. So
Minnesota's home for you. Where's the ranch?
It is. In the ranch is in South Dakota, and about an hour north of Sturgis. So it makes it a little bit more interesting, but I've kind of given up on Minnesota to hunt really, where we're at. And it's, trying to find a spot with 40 acres here in Minnesota where there's not pressure versus 20,000 acres, really?
Yeah.
Where do you spend your time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that is something, if you follow cold fronts and follow the weather much at all, then you know that there is coming up a pretty good week of hunting in a lot of the lower 48. We've got a pretty big cold front coming across.
Right.
We're going from like 90 here in Kansas to next week to 39. So it's going to be an incredible week to be hunting. And so your clients, I have a feeling, are going to have a good time there at the ranch.
Yeah, we're hoping so anyway. I know Joe Maxfield, I talked to him yesterday. He's like, I'm on my way out. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm hunting, but I'm heading out.
I've got a bow and arrows. That's all that matters.
Yep, exactly.
Now, what started the ranch? How'd that all come about for you?
It's a long, crazy story that basically I just kind of fell into. And my whole goal with it is really to have low pressure and bring out good people out there and have fun with it. So create content and stuff like that. So that's really, it's a long, crazy story, but it's one of those things it's a blessing, and I want to share it with people in the industry. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the invite, man. It means a lot to me. Can't wait to join you out there.
Exactly. Well, Darrell and I got started on it together before I really even got started on the ranch. So we have to get Darrell back out there sometime.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, you see that whitetail on the back there, right there? Darrell had that one at 40 yards on. He had an antelope tag in his hand. I don't know if you ever saw that, Darrell. Yeah.
Who killed that one? Did you kill it?
No, that's the EHD one. That's the one you had by the hay bales by the corral there.
Yeah, I had him.
Oh, wow.
I could have killed him 100 times.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's a dandy. But so that's kind of stuff that's out there, and I like to share it with folks like Darrell or other people in the industry. So
very cool. Now, what we're actually here to talk about, Velvet Antler Technologies. I stumbled upon the products and the people through Pope and Young. Met you guys through Pope and Young, had you come out to the convention. Just had a good time, and I remember one night sitting in our little vendor suite and just hanging out, and you gave me the full rundown of these products, and two things really blew my mind about it: how the products worked, but also the things that I don't know about taxidermy post being on the wall. Well, not only that, but just the treatment of taxidermy leading up to it, and then the treatment following it. And I think that a lot of guys, they look around a trophy room and they've got tons of trophies on the wall, and ever since they've hung them up, they've not paid, they've not given them any kind of attention. And we're going to dive into, some of your products, but also some of the care for taxidermy that needs to be taking place because of things that you might not even know are happening. And so give us the rundown, man. Before we get into the products, what made you start Velvet Antler Technologies?
So actually, gosh, it's been probably 20 years ago. I've always been an archery hunter in Nevada. And Nevada used to be, you could get an archery tag every single year. And that archery season starts real early. It's always in Velvet. And I lived out in a little tiny town in northwestern Nevada, north central Nevada, I guess you would say. And I was 100 miles from any taxidermist, and even then I had kids growing up. Not that I even had money to go have a set of antlers taken care of anywhere, but so I just started spraying things and mixing things and seeing what I could do to keep my velvet on my antlers, and I kind of figured out a magic potion, I guess you would call it, what I mixed up and sprayed on those antlers and kept the velvet on there. And, I had it in my pocket for a lot of years, and I talked to a lot of people about it. People told me I was crazy and there's no way you could make that work. And moving along, I don't know. It was about 2011. I talked to a friend of mine from Utah, AJ, and he said, "Man, let's make a go of it." And to try to get it into any bottlers or anything, you talk to a bottler and they say, "Well, yeah, we can make it for you, but you got to order 5,000 units." And it's just not feasible, right? It's not easy to do. So a few years go by, and actually end up meeting Trent Keller from Athlon Optics Company. And he knew a guy that's in the bottling industry, and I told him the potion, the formula, and he actually just sent me out 2 gallons and said, "Here, try this, see if this works the same as what you've been mixing." And we started running testing on it. And the following year we said, yeah, everything works. And we ordered a couple 50-gallon drums and off we went.
Now, before you guys tune out, don't just hear velvet antlers and tune out and say, well, I don't live in a state where you can kill velvet bucks, because there's so much more to Velvet Antler Technologies than just keeping your velvet on your antlers. And there's a couple products that I don't care if you've ever seen a velvet buck, you're going to be interested in hearing them. There's a couple products where you say, well, I can't afford shoulder mounts. Doesn't matter. There are Velvet Antler Technologies has turned into a full line that if you're a bow hunter, if you're a hunter at all, you need to know about Velvet Antler Technologies. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit now. Through that process, did you ever come up with something and you're like, this is going to be it? Spray it on, it just melts the velvet off. You're like, crap, it did the opposite.
No, I never had anything that really hurt the velvet per se, but I did have some stuff that didn't work as well as, so it was a process for sure. And,
Darrell's a mixologist, Dylan, just so you know. We won't get into all the things he's a mixologist for, but so his concoctions, he has a lot for a lot of different things. We'll just start with that. But
he's also a DJ by night.
Yeah, right. But also on your note about that, we're actually changing the branding and the name from Velvet Antler Technologies to VAT because we don't want people to get caught on the velvet. As you said, we've got most of our products relate to anything that's not related to velvet. We only have one product that's velvet related. So, and the first one that we have is this one, obviously the Bone Bright, for doing Euros. And it's fantastic. It's a 2-part product that is a degreaser, but also a bone whitener. And so you can really set it up so that you can do however white you want to get it. And if you've got a really greasy skull, like we had that guy with that lion skull he had to apply it 5 times because the lion skull was so thick. It's not, that's what's our products. We actually really, myself or Darrell are online for questions and customer help. Because it's not, you just can't, there's nothing magic that you just quick miss something once and it happens. There is a little bit of process, and Darrell and I are always available online for questions and answers about the products.
All right. So let's walk through products real quick. Actually going back to the Velvet. So do you treat that before, you're still in the field and you're spraying it, or is that something, when in the process do you actually spray the antlers?
So, you want to be within 24 hours of killing it if possible. So, you could leave it in the truck. If you're a guy that's walking back in the backcountry for the day, doing day trips, leave it in the pickup. You don't have to necessarily take it with you. So you want to have it on there within 24 hours if possible.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool is you can see how well it has that soft velvety look to it. When I did this velvet buck for the first time, I worked with Darrell for a while, and I did it myself, and I was like, I called him up. I said, I can't believe this crap actually works. And so that's the surprise. We have people say that all the time. Oh, you can't do that or whatever. So I just follow the directions, just trying to be devil's advocate. And I was like, this stuff actually works. It smells good. It does what it says it does. And it's so simple.
And it's funny, Dylan, because every one of these products we have has all been created out of necessity or by somebody calling and saying, hey, can you create this? He says, you made this work. Can you make this other thing work? And we'll go through those one at a time, kind of how they evolved. And because it's kind of a neat backstory on how each one evolved.
Here's your next one. Make a spray that's going to turn my 120s into a 140. Like when I spray it, it just increases 20 inches. Or you can make it even a percentage.
Spray it in your eyes. Spray it in your eyes and make you look.
It'll blur everything. It'll make it look like a 140.
Right.
Okay, so here's a question though. Once you've treated the velvet antlers, say you're going to do a Euro mount, can you then just boil the skull like you normally would, or will that mess up the antlers?
There's a little bit different process if you're going to do a Euro mount for velvet. So the process I always tell people is wrap the antlers, keep them protected from water and steam, boil the skull, clean the meat off the skull, do your velvet antler treatment, then do your whitening. Because the Velvelock's going to run blood down onto the skull. But if you have meat on the skull and you spray the Velvelock is made to cure wet membranes or anything wet. So if it gets on the meat before you boil the skull, it's going to make that meat very hard, almost like a jerky. So then it's going to be very hard to boil and clean. So that's kind of the process. Protect the velvet, boil the head, clean the head, do the velvet, do your whitening. 5 steps.
Very cool.
And the trick with the velvet too, Dylan, is that you've got to spray it and saturate that membrane, and you can see when you spray it how the Velvelock will just kind of go like this down, and you'd start on the tips down. But what you want to do is you want to have your rack always tips up and no low spots, so it drains through the pedicle. People sometimes think, hey, their deer is upside down, that's how they should hang it. It's just the opposite. We want it to run through the pedicle on it. And if there's drop tines, you've got to drain those drop tines by putting a hypodermic in or something like that. So those are things that we run with people. Do that. The other thing is we talk about it really helps get cured with UV light and heat. Heat and light help cure it much faster than being in a cold, wet spot. So those are just tips on it. If you're out, let's say in the Yukon, we had a guy kill the world record moose now, and he's in the Yukon. It's going to took him longer to cure it in the field out there than it would be inside or like say in the desert or South Dakota in the Black Hills or something like that.
Yeah. Now we've covered the velvet, which that was, kind of a big question I had was the process that you would go through with velvet. Bone Bright is a phenomenal product. I've used it on a couple skulls before. I'm a big Euro guy. I love the way that Euros look. And that just, it makes your skulls bright and white. So I really, really like that product. One of your coolest products, which I would encourage you guys, I mean, you're getting to that point right now. You need to order your Bone Bright, because you're about to, start killing your deer and you're about to start doing Euros. You need to order your Bone Bright right now. But one thing that I would encourage you guys to get right now is the fan lock. That's one of the coolest products I've ever seen in my entire life. And you're going to need it this spring when you kill your birds. Walk me through fan lock and how it works.
So after you kill your turkey, obviously can't spray it on when they're alive.
Yeah. That
You
makes
want to
them
just
mad.
cut your tail off, clean off as much meat as possible, right? I've had some people that have left 5 layers of feathers on it. I've had guys that have used a whole big slab of feathers and made a big plaque, with all the feathers down the back, those real cool feathers. Clean the meat off the tail as much as you can. Spray that on the tail once a day for 5 days, and it'll be done. The tip I always give to people, because a lot of people, they talk about pinning the tail out, right? But if you'll just take a plastic coat hanger and some of those
And you
black
hang it up like that.
Yeah, those black office clips, and you just clip it on that tail, it actually holds the tail open really natural, just like if the turkey was fanning it itself. And you just hang it upside down like that, spray it on the base of that tail once a day for 5 days. And generally in 5 days, they're done and cured.
Yeah, like this one, Dylan, is you can see it kind of gets like a plasticky, leathery look to it. And this one we sprayed, I think this is almost 2 years old, but it still smells fresh and no bugs on it and stuff like that. And so it's a great, easy way for people that are doing decoying, or reaping, that they can do their tail quick and get it done and not have to worry about dragging a fantail around that smells full of bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was a turkey hunter, I would use that. But I'm not a turkey hunter because, I don't like turkey hunting. Guys, I don't need to tell you about the Blazer Vane. You're probably familiar with the Blazer Vane, and you're probably familiar with boning. Boning has been around forever. It's a name you can trust. They sell products you can trust. They have everything that you need to build your own arrows. All of the jigs to fletch your own arrows, all of the vanes, all of the wraps, the numerous types of vanes and wraps to build any kind of configuration you want. They also have some really cool Fredbear branded products with their Fredbear camo wraps and their Fredbear flannel wraps. Something that's really cool about that Fredbear flannel, that's actually a photo that was taken of one of Fredbear's flannel famous shirts, the red and gray and black that he always wore. That's actually a photo taken of his personal shirt and put on a wrap. It looks really cool, especially on some traditional arrows. But my very favorite configuration, and this is coming from an arrow junkie that's tried out all different kind of vanes and all different kind of configurations. I have found that this configuration stabilizes pretty much every arrow. It's whisper quiet. They fly fantastic. The 3-inch Bronco vane in a 4 fletch absolutely flies like a dart, whether you're shooting mechanicals or big fixed. This is going to be a fletching configuration that will work. Again, whisper quiet, long range accuracy. I love this configuration. This is on every single one of my compound arrows. They just work. Guys, I would highly encourage you to check out Boning, not just for the Blazer vein, but for the Heat vein, for the Broncos, for the X veins. Everything that you need to build your own arrows is right there on Boning's website. They've been around for ages, and I promise you, if you order from them, you're going to get products that you can trust. What other, I mean, I can think of a couple more products, and one that I'm really excited to talk about, which is the bug killer in your home. So if you've got, walk me through that first off, like not even the product, like the fact that there are bugs in your taxidermy.
So first off, I just have to have a disclaimer. We can't really claim this to be a bug killer, right? Because I have to be very careful on words. You know, we're getting bigger and we're getting more populated. This product will kill larvae. It will kill moths if you spray it on them. We've never wanted to register ours as a pesticide. You just get into a lot of gray area and a lot of trouble, I guess you would say. You got to be very careful listing your stuff as a pesticide. What we have in our products is all natural oils and stuff, and it's just let's say it's a bug deterrent more so than, but it will get rid of the bugs out of your mount. So those bugs derive from, there's carpet beetles, carpet moths, spiders will even chew on hair follicles. They'll chew on stuff to make them a home.
The beetles in dog food.
Yeah, I mean, there's just anything that eats keratin and thrives on keratin. The hair follicle on any deer is keratin. Around the horn, the base of the horn of horned animals is keratin. The horn itself of keratin is keratin. Hooves on full body mounts, keratin. So that's where you'll see a lot of people have trouble with their full body mounts, right? Right around the hooves, they'll lose an inch wide thing of hair right around the hoof. And that's because there's larvae in there chewing on stuff. So once you see an adult bug of any sort, then all of a sudden you've got larvae somewhere because the adult hatched, right? And they chew on the hair follicles, and you will lose hair from them. So that's why we created the Trophy Clean. You just simply spray it on, let it sit about 5 minutes, brush it in with a pin brush, comes with a little pin brush, brush it in, and that carries that product down to the hide surface, and it penetrates that hide surface, and it'll stay there up to 6 months with the oils we have in it. So,
and we have hunters, Dylan, that tell us, hey, my mount's 40 years old. I've never had bugs on it and stuff like that. And so, I mean, Darrell, do you want to talk about the change in tannering and technology wise, why we're seeing that these days?
Yeah. So up until about 15 years ago, they used arsenic in tanning solutions, and not all taxidermists used them, right? I mean, but the simple fact is a lot of these older mounts, you don't see bugs in because of that. There was arsenic in there. Now arsenic penetrated that membrane on that tan hide. So those bugs didn't like that. They ain't going to go chew on something that's got arsenic in it. It'll kill them. So, that's where we've seen probably in the last 7 to 8 years. If you talk to people that have had stuff done in the last 7 to 8 years, they'll tell you, hey, I've had stuff that just fell apart, and that's the reason. I mean, even Melissa Bachman, I talked to her, she lost I believe it was a full body mount bear and a full body mount mule deer to bug infestation that just ate all the hair on them. And you don't know until you don't know. And that's what I try to explain to people, right? They say, well, I don't have bugs. And I say, I'll make you a deal. You go home and take a brush and brush all of your mounts. And if you lose any hair out of any of your mounts, they've got a bug in them somewhere. Because once a hide is tanned, they don't lose hair. If you're losing hair, there's a bug chewing on the follicle. That's the reason the hair's falling out. So that's where Trophy Clean came from, how it derived, and we see a need for it, so we created it.
And this last year, we improved it. We improved it, Darrell, because we added that UV inhibitor so that your mounts don't fade as well. So that was the next step. So that, if you've got spotlights on your mounts or windows and your mounts start fading, the UV inhibitor stops that. So
what made you look at your house and be like, there's bugs in those, I'm going to get them out? Like, because I would have never even imagined. Here's the deal. My wife, and I can say whatever I want to about her because she's not going to listen. My wife is a clean freak. Like, about once every 2 days, she just has a freak out and cleans the entire house. So if I was looking at my house, I'd be like, my house is clean. There's no bugs anywhere. I would never even consider my trophies are being eaten from the inside out. Like that would never cross my mind. So what made you look at your trophies and be like, I bet there's bugs in there and I need to kill them?
So it actually wasn't. So like I told you, there's a story behind every one of these products, right? So I had talked to a guy that's a guide over in Oregon. When I first started this thing, I actually talked to him about investing with us and kind of becoming part of the team. And he wasn't really interested. He kind of sat back and told me, yeah, you'll never sell more than 1,000 bottles of this a year. And it's just going to be a hobby for you. He said, but you should create some kind of mount cleaner because we have a lot of mounts that they always need cleaned. And so we started looking into it and I kind of just developed it from there. And we figured out what it does to the bugs. And after a year of testing, and off we went.
So is this something that taxidermists can use right off the bat to help them, to help the trophy owner?
Yeah. So we have a lot of taxidermists actually that use this directly out of their studio, and they'll pre-treat with the product and then, let customers know they can buy it through the taxidermist, or, they can get it from us and keep their trophies treated. We say every 6 months or so. If you have a bug infestation or you've seen bugs, I say every 4 months, but every 6 months at a minimum, spray them down, wipe them down, clean them up.
Especially anyone with fireplaces too, that soot builds up on them. We also kind of extreme cases that we've had a guy that a taxidermist out in New York that had a client bring him his mounts in from a fire, and they were just smoked out completely. Well, he used Trophy Clean on that and cleaned it up just like it was brand new. And I mean, talk about, for the cost of a bottle, how that made that hunter feel that his memory wasn't lost.
So we tell you all that to tell you this: next time you walk in your trophy room, just know you're surrounded by bugs and see how that makes you feel. Because I remember the first time I heard you talk about this, I was like, this dude is straight out the loony bin. Like, I ain't got no bugs in my trophies. But then I come back home and my son, and he was a lot. I think the first time we talked was probably 2 years ago. So he was probably 3, maybe 4. And I have a coyote hide hanging on the wall, and he gets it and he's like playing with it, like rolling in it. And I'm like, hey, stop, there's bugs in that. Like, don't mess with that. There's probably bugs in there. And then I'm like, crap, Darrell rubbed off on me. Now I think there's bugs in my stuff. But no, and after doing more research and looking into it, like, you're absolutely right, man. And that it's just so crazy that so many guys have trophies in their homes. And they never would even consider that, because I would have never even considered that. That would have never crossed my mind. So really, I mean, kudos to you, man, for not only making the product, but informing the people. Like, because so many guys are like, man, why didn't my trophy last? It only lasted 5 years and now it looks like crap. We've all seen it. We've all seen the mule deer that just looks like garbage. And you're like, what happened here? All the hair's falling out. Why is it bald? Why are the ears? And well, now we know. Because of Darrell.
And they blame it on a bad taxidermist. And I hear that a lot. I hear, well, you got to use a better taxidermist. Well, it doesn't matter what taxidermist you use. If you just get unlucky to have bugs get in your mount, you're unlucky. It doesn't, I know taxidermists that put insecticides in their glue when they glue their stuff on their forms. But those bugs don't care, because that's on the inside between the form and the hide, right? That's not on the exterior of the hide. That there's a layer of protection between that glue and the outside world. Yeah. So those bugs could care less about that insecticide that's inside the form.
And then you think about, if you've got a light outside your door, every time you open up your door, one of those moths gets in there. It's pretty easy to happen. Or people that store dog food in their garage, right? And they've got mounts in their garage, or that brings them in the house. We see those bugs come from that as well. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, absolutely. You think about like my room, right? My trophy room. I'm just going to pan it around just to rub it in a little, but
it hurts.
It's all cedar wood on my walls. The ceiling, it's all wood, right? Bugs love to live in wood. How many guys build their trophy rooms out of knotty pine or what have you, right? Any type of wood. Those bugs are going to live under that wood. There's going to be cracks in that wood. They're going to get through. They're going to live in there as an adult. Then they're going to go into your mount and lay eggs, and that's where their young are going to survive until they hatch out. So, I don't know of a trophy room around that's totally sealed from the world, right? It's just, It's not going to happen. So any of us runs a risk at any time of getting bugs in your mouth.
Right.
That's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy that it's something that most people would never consider. One of the coolest products I want to hit on just really fast is your little skull hangers. I'm a big fan of those. Takes you about 4 seconds to hang a skull up. I've got one hanging right there. I've got 4 or 5 downstairs. Literally takes you 30 seconds, 2 screws in a stud. You got your trophy hanging there. It's perfect. It's awesome. How much do those run, by the way?
They're like $15, I think.
Yeah, I think $14.99, something like that. Online,
that's what I was going to say. Cheaper than basically, you see those other trophy, the skull hangers or whatever they're called, and
some are $100.
It's a cool concept, but you're like, crap, dude, I spent more on the hanger than I did on the skull being done. Like, it's just so really awesome product, super simple. There's nothing to it. I've got you can hang javelina skulls, bear skulls, whitetail skulls, anything. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And for
$14.99, the thing is with ours too, I have some people tell me, I can buy those on Amazon for half that price. And, my big thing is all of that stuff's made in China. Right. So we have all of our stuff cut out right here in the Boise Valley. We have it powder coated right here. So, they're all done and made right here in the United States. And are you going to pay more for United States made stuff? Absolutely. But ours are not painted. They're powder coated. We're trying to put out a really quality product. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Dylan, have you ever seen the hide lock stuff?
So I bought a bottle for a bear hunt that I didn't successfully kill a bear. So you just had to rub that in, huh? I'm sure you just wanted me to share that story.
Right.
So bought a bottle for a bear hunt, but I do have a spring bear hunt coming up where I'm excited to try it. But walk me through how it works.
Yeah, Darrell, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So same thing. This one kind of derived out of Doyle Mossback Outfitters. He says, man, you got this velvet stuff figured out. He says, you need to figure out something to protect our hides. He says, us guys as outfitters, we pack in for 2 or 3 days, and it's, in Utah, high mountains, 85, 90 degrees. He said, by the time we get a hideout, it's rotted. It's no good. So there again, we sat down to the drawing board and created something that I thought would work. And we tested it for about a year. And in one of my testings, I actually sprayed 2 whitetail deer hides when I was in Maryland in September. I drove out. I left those 2 whitetail deer hides in the back of my truck in a plastic bag for 10 days unrefrigerated as a test to see what would happen. And I sent that to my taxidermist, and he opened it up and said, I can't believe these things are just like the day you killed them. And it's actually 2 of those deer that I have on the wall from Maryland are those deer. And it kept the dermis intact around the eye, all the eyelids, everything stayed intact for 10 days at 90 degrees. And you just spray that on the inside of the hide, remove first off, you remove any of the meat, flesh. You don't have to super flesh them. Like, you're not going to taxidermy flesh them, but get the big pieces off, right? Spray down the inside of the hide, the inside and outside of the nose, lips, ears, and eyes. Any wet membrane where bacteria can grow, right? Because bacteria needs moisture to grow. So any of that area, spray it on there. I always tuck them inside, ears inside, to keep everything, all the product on those ears, eyes, and lips. Roll it up, put it in a plastic bag, and seal it up. Keep it as cool as you can. And that'll keep. And
we have some videos on our YouTube that show that. So if people have questions, they can refer to that as well. But that was something that, I've hunted for almost 45 years to not know that, really you need to take care of the nose, the ears, the eyes on something. When I shot my bear that's on the floor here, we just rolled it up and threw it in the freezer. But then I found out that, you can get green spots on it, bacteria. Some parts don't freeze all the way, or when they unthaw, they thaw different when they're rolled up. So taking care of that really helps with the hide lock, really helps save those hides in the field. So you don't have to salt them, or you don't have to freeze them in properly.
Now there has to be some sort of, how much prep goes in before you need to actually spray it? I mean, I can't spray it on my cat and it's just going to get solid up. There's got to be some sort of prep work that goes into it. How much, you know what I mean? What are you doing before?
So realistically, it's not, like I say, all it is really removing the big pieces of meat. So you got to remember, hide lock's not made for tanning. It's not made for a permanent solution, right? What it's made for is to get it from the field to your taxidermist. So if you kill it on a Friday afternoon, your taxidermist is gone until Monday, you spray this on there, put it in a plastic bag and keep it refrigerated. By the time Monday comes around, that hide's going to be exactly like you killed it on Friday, and your taxidermist is going to thank you, because no hair loss, no nothing. It's going to just show up to him just nice and moist and ready to go, just like the day you killed it. So, and one of the big things is, and I know people say, well, I salt my hides. Well, 90% of the people that hunt don't know how to salt a hide correctly. So they're going to put salt on it. They're not going to split the lips. They're not going to turn the ears. There's so many other things involved in doing a hide correctly for the taxidermist, right, that most people don't know how to do. They just don't. Even myself as a guide, when I was guiding in Nevada, I guided for 20 years. I didn't turn lip or split lips and turn ears. I just didn't do it and never did. We just took them to the taxidermist, right? This is an insurance policy that thing gets to the taxidermist as perfect as possible for your mount to stay just as good as it can, just like the day it was killed.
Hear me out. What happens if you put that on velvet antlers? Wouldn't it do the same thing? No, I know it wouldn't harden it and keep that velvet, but wouldn't it, at least to get you out of the field? You say my velvet lock's back home. Like, wouldn't that help you preserve that velvet on the antlers to get it back home to treat it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt it, that's for sure. But I tell people to shy away from that, because then they think they can buy one bottle for both things, and they both have different additives in them that do different jobs. So,
right.
You really don't want to spray hide lock on a set of velvet antlers.
Yeah, the velvet lock's made to activate the blood in it and have it drain out, and the hide lock is really an antibacterial to stop the bacterial growth.
Right, and again, I know that it wouldn't act the same. I was just thinking, like, if I could, like, if my velvet lock was at home and I was gonna, have to drive for 4 days to get home, could I do that to help keep the velvet nice until I get home to velvet lock it?
I probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Dylan, I think the idea is that you might know someone, and so that we might have to to remind you that every time you go on a hunt, you're bringing your velvet lock and your hide lock.
Yeah, there you go. Just take both and you'll be fine.
Hey, hunt, preserve, protect, baby.
Yeah. Now, is there something? Oh, I want to go back on a couple products. Well, let's start with this one. Is there an animal, and I would guess it would be bears. Is there an animal that are worse for losing hair, to get to the taxidermist, or are there species
Antelope.
that are antelope? Really?
Yeah,
antelope are the absolute worst. You can blow on an antelope a little bit, and his hair will fall out. They're bad. Just natural. As soon as you kill one and skin it, their hair will start falling out right away. They're terrible.
I wonder why that is.
Because their hair are hollow. Their hair are hollow, so it actually allows more air and stuff to get into that, down to that follicle. So it's just, their antelope are really hard to take care of. So we actually had a kid, Diego Otero, main beam addiction. He did a video for us one year, and
that kid's
he took
a turd.
the back half.
You heard it from me.
That?
He's a turd.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's as lucky as Darrell, if not worse.
Oh, he's a good kid. But he took the back half of an antelope, split it in half, and he did a real world experiment. He said, I'm going to try this and see what it does. Are you guys okay with that? I said, I'm perfectly okay with it. You do what you got to do, man. So half of it, he cut it in half. He sprayed half of it with hide lock, put it in a plastic bag, left the other side untreated, put it in a plastic bag, put it in his horse trailer for 7 days at 80 plus degrees in New Mexico. And he came back and he showed the after effects of the video. And the one that was untreated was just rotten and slimy, and he could just hold it and the hair would fall out. And the side that he treated with hide lock it had no smell, no rot. He could pull on the hair, it wouldn't fall out. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, like I said, if you breathe on antelope, their hair falls out. But you could definitely see the difference in the two. And it was a real world experience from a 14-year-old kid that it's just that easy, right? That a 14-year-old kid can go do this and make it work.
Yeah, but listen, Mr. Main Beam, if you're listening, I still got beef with you. Listen, we one time we were at a mountain archery fest, and we went out to eat. A bunch of us just went out to hang out, and he was giving me a hard time, and he saw a picture of my daughter and started talking smack that he was gonna, get my daughter's phone number. And I said, listen, buddy, Mr. Main Beam, I will kill you. I said, you think just because you're a stud, you can do whatever you want. But no, he's an awesome kid. And I actually saw that experiment. I saw that, and he does. I'm a big fan of his. I like the way that he just, like you said, real life stuff from a 14-year-old kid that just genuinely wants to know. And so really cool. Have we missed any products?
Yep. 2 of them. Stain scrub for one. So it's an enzymatic blood remover. Yeah. So actually,
tell them about Ralph and Vicky. Tell them about Ralph last night.
Oh, that was too funny. Ralph was talking. We were talking to Ralph last night. Ralph Cianciarulo from the Archer's Choice, and he says, man, these guys were using this product on their hands, washing their hands, and it works so great. Dirk brought out the stain scrub, and he goes, "What? I never even seen that before." So man, it'll take blood out of anything. I've had blood on stuff that's 10 years old and spray it on there, and it'll pull it. Now, mind you, if it's been washed already, it's tough to get blood out of anything that's already been washed, right? But
especially dried.
Yeah,
washed and dried.
But fresh blood or blood that sat for a week on your clothes, you can spray it on there. Man, it just takes it out. And here's another one for you. And this is funny because Larry Harlan. He's a scorer for Pope and Young.
Yep.
So Larry's a taxidermist, and he uses it on all of his hides that go to the tannery. So he sprays it on those hides. He said those hides come back so much better looking and prettier and silkier than anything he's ever used. So he sprays it on all of his hides before they go to the tax or to the tannery. And then when they come back, he said it's amazing the difference.
All right. So here's my question for you. Why does it just work on blood? If I spill Kool-Aid in my carpet, would it not pull the Kool-Aid out too?
Oh, it will. It's a stain. It's an all-around stain remover. Yeah, AJ, our other business partner, he used it on some red wine on a white carpet, and it took it right out.
Yeah, any organic stain, I should say, on it. If it's a stain from a ink or something like that, it's not going to do that. But it's a chemical reaction that pulls up those proteins out. So any organic stain, sweat, pit stain stuff, hockey gear kind of stuff, any of that.
Hey,
kind of stuff.
we're not in Minnesota. Nobody else plays hockey outside of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is very cool. Because I've literally, you look at pants and you're like, God, these are ruined. Like, I can never wear these again. And so that really is a cool product because, I mean, hunting clothes are expensive, dude. Nicest clothes I own are hunting clothes. When they tell me wear my finest clothes, it ain't going to be a tux. It's hunting clothes. Yeah. It's more expensive. And then
right. Well, the other thing is if you're taking pictures for Pope and Young magazine and you want to have a nice clean, crescent on your bear or your antelope, that's a great thing to have in the field for pictures beforehand because you're not just putting water on it and just staining it more and more. You're actually taking that out. That stain scrub works great before pictures or videos in the field.
That's a good point. And that's something that a lot of people never I've talked a lot about this, about the way that we carry ourselves on
Mhm.
social media and as hunters, and that's something I never even considered. And I remember when I first got into the industry, I killed a nice deer and took a bunch of good photos, and I was so proud of them. And I sent them to some sponsors. And I'm like, look at this deer I just killed. And they're like, cool, but we can't use any of it. And I'm like, why? Like, I had a good camera, the photos were high quality, and like,
Yeah.
well, the tongue's hanging out, there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, it's dead. Like, I killed the animal. That kind of happens. But I never even considered the way that we carry ourselves on social media. And so that is a brilliant idea and a brilliant way to use that product.
I think that's what's interesting about all of our products is this, this hunt, preserve, protect, is that we want to respect our game well enough that we're going to take care of it. It's not just about the meat; it's about the memory and respecting it and honoring it. And so, that's what we want to do. It's not just about, hey, how do we make it cheap and fast? It's about taking care of every part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was the other product we missed?
So the other one is our head hauler. So that one was another one so I broke my back in 2019, and beginning of 2020, I'm sitting around for 5 months doing nothing but watching TV and looking at my phone. And I'm thinking, I was a guide for 20 years, and I just hate when you're trying to pack out a deer or an elk and you tie them to your backpack with paracord, whatever, and they fall off halfway back to the truck, and you got to stop and reorganize and regroup. And so I actually sat down with my wife's sewing machine, and I sewed 3 different prototypes of this head hauler. And then we sent it off, and it's in full manufacture now in 2 different sizes and 2 colors. There's an elk and a deer one. But yeah, it's essentially a secondary compression. So after you put all your meat in your pack, right, you're stuck carrying a head, and you're trying to carry a head or sling it over your shoulder or whatever. Well, now this will adapt to any backpack. Anywhere there's a loop or a buckle, you can clip it on. There's 8 points of contact.
You see that?
And that thing, scoot back a little, Dirk. There you go. So that center shape there, that hourglass, that goes between the antlers. And put your head on there, roll your hide up, put it in there, clip that thing onto some loops and buckles and around the nose, and pull it down tight. And you can pull hard on that thing. It's got a lifetime warranty. Don't be afraid to cinch it down. Those straps run through. So the straps from the top run to the bottom, and you're pulling strap to strap. You're not pulling on the webbing in the middle. And that'll absolutely tighten everything in your pack. It tightens the meat down, and it holds a head on the outside of a backpack.
Very cool.
Yeah, Jared Bloomgren hauled that big elk out with his. He said it didn't shake or shift at all.
That's cool, guys. I can genuinely say this every time that we talk, Darrell. I am impressed by. Well, I'm impressed by people who look at an industry and say, "Here's how I can improve it." Not what's in it for me, not what can I get out of it, but here's a missing piece of the industry, and I want to play a role in that. And so I'm impressed by that, man. I'm impressed that you saw a need for products in the industry and you did what it took to fill that need. I'm also just impressed with, I don't know what Durk called it, your mixology ability, your little scientist mind to come up with this stuff, because I would have had no idea where to even start. I wouldn't even know what to Google.
2 more products coming out before the end of the year.
Oh snap! One of them is your throw and grow. You throw it on the deer and it makes it bigger just instantly. So it's going to be cool.
It's anti-ground shrinkage, right?
Anti-ground shrinkage. It basically, they're just selling you beer goggles. So right when you go up to the deer, you put them on, your deer looks awesome, and you don't have to worry about it. So no, I really do appreciate that, man. I've said that often about products and people, that they don't just come up with something because they think they can make money on it. They come up with something because they see a need for it, and they want to help make that. They want to help fill that void in the industry. So really good job, man. Guys, go check out Velvet Antler Technologies. If you haven't seen them, you can go to Shields now. I saw you at Shields not too long ago, which is exciting. So guys, go check out Velvet Antler Technologies. Again, not just for velvet antlers, but for everything you need in the field. Go check them out. Where all can they find you at, boys?
Shields, runnings, online. We have Joe Coombs Taxidermy, Matuska Taxidermy, and we have numerous dealers all around the United States. If somebody wants to go buy it in store, they can look at our website. We have a dealer locator on there that shows where past dealers are. Hopefully they're still carrying product. Some of them kind of fall by the wayside. And
any questions, just leave a message on our Instagram, Facebook, or those places, and we'll get right back to you, Darrell, or I will.
Yep.
Guys, there's one fabric that if you're not wearing, you absolutely should be. It's a magic fabric. It changes everything about the way you layer, everything about the way you dress, everything about the way you hunt, and that is merino wool. I couldn't even begin to tell you all of the benefits of merino wool, and I'm going to miss some for sure. But guys, whether it's summer or whether it's winter, this is going to keep you cool in the summer. It's moisture wicking. It's going to pull the moisture away from your body, but it's also going to hold your heat in the winter. It is antimicrobial. It doesn't smell. It doesn't hold scent like other fabrics does. So if you're out on a 5-day hunt, you don't have access to a washer, this is not going to hold your scent. It's not going to get stinky and nasty. It's also quick drying. You can hang this up in your tent. You can hang it up on a clothesline. It's going to dry really quick. But the coolest part about merino, in my opinion, is that when it gets wet, it still maintains its warmth properties. So if there's a light rain or a snow and this gets wet, it's still going to keep me warm. There's no itch. It's non-allergenic. It's an amazing fabric. Minus 33. I stumbled upon minus 33 by accident. I was on backcountry.com and they were having a blowout sale. I needed some new merino for a hunt that was coming up. And so I dove in, I bought it. And when I got it, it was the softest, best merino I have ever felt in my entire life. I've not worn anything but minus 33 socks for everyday life, whether I'm hunting, hiking, or just, out for the day. I haven't worn anything but minus 33 socks in over a year and a half. Every single day I'm wearing their underwear. Every single time I'm out hunting, whether it's 100 or whether it's 5, I'm wearing some sort of beanie to cover up my chrome dome and to keep that covered up and warm or cool, if it's in the summer. But also that UV protectant. I like to wear it in the summer. Guys, minus 33 does merino, in my opinion, better than anybody else does it. Go check out minus 33 for all your merino wool. And if you haven't ever tried merino, guys, you are missing out. It will change the way you layer. It will change the way you hunt. Go check out merino wool and go check out minus 33. Guys, go check them out. Thank you for listening. Y'all have a fantastic week.